All right, hello everybody. Welcome back to episode 2. Last episode we did a few mods to the Tenere 700 here, my 2025 Tenere 700. We did a skid plate and some handguards. Now today's episode we're going for a little bit more of a fun approach. We're going to be changing the stock exhaust for a wonderful Camel ADV exhaust, as you can see. We got this in the mail the other day. I'm going to try and record this before it gets too dark outside because obviously it's winter time right now and we've only got about an hour of sun left after work. So let's just get straight to it. First of all, let's fire it up and see how this stock exhaust sounds. So as you can tell, it's not a bad sounding exhaust. The only reason why I'm changing it out for the Camel ADV exhaust is because I want something that's a little higher mounted, that's going to be out of the way. As you know, I've already had a bit of a drop on this thing, a little bit of an off-road adventure. I smashed the handguard and got a few scratches on the muffler. But that would be okay if that was all that happened. But what happened is we actually bent in the muffler just a touch on its exhaust mount here. And as everybody knows, if they've got a Tenere, this is one of the weak points for the Teneres. So I got something that's going to mount a lot higher up. And then when I put some crash bars on later on, it will have some more coverage over the exhaust. So we won't have to worry about it bending if I have a little tumble here and there. So we're just slowly building this up. This is episode number 2. We're going to add a high mount exhaust from Camel ADV. Let's get right into it. Here's a closer look at the new exhaust from Camel ADV. The build quality on this thing is really solid, the welds look awesome, and everything feels really premium and very well put together. The only thing I was curious about before installing it is if it would fit with my rear crash guards that I had planned for the bike. But it actually clears them perfectly with no issues at all, so if you were planning on putting rear crash guards on, you don't have to worry about this. It tucks up nice and close to the tail, so it doesn't interfere with anything there. And I also really like how it sits on the bike. Keeps everything nice and tight and gives it that really rally high style exhaust look without sticking way out of the back or the side. And I've been riding with this thing for about 2 weeks now. In typical Vancouver Island weather, we got the rain, the cold mornings, pretty much everything, all the brine and salt on the roads, and overall it's been great. The only small issue I've noticed so far is the metal baffle DB killer inside the muffler rusted pretty much straight away, like I'm talking next day. It's not a huge deal, but it did happen. And aside from that, the fitment and build quality have been absolutely excellent, and it really changes the look of the overall bike. Really happy with it. So nice and simple with the removal here. We're just looking at 2 Allen bolts, a 8mm and a 6mm. We're going to need the 8mm at the top of the exhaust hanger there and a 6mm on the exhaust clamp at the bottom. Now the 8mm at the top has a 14mm nut on the back, so just remember to grab your spanner, or for you American Canadian people, wrenches, and we'll get that off nice and easy. So there you go, that's nice and loose. Then we'll crack this 8mm at the top here as well. Oh yeah. There we go. And that looks like that'll come off quite nicely. Like I said, not everything's rusted up yet, so that should all just pull out nice and easy, and the exhaust should slowly sag there. So now with a couple shimmies and shakes, we should just be able to pull this exhaust off nice and easy. It's actually not as heavy as I thought it would be, but as you can see, it's got a lot of dust and dirt on it already, a couple of scratches, but it's not as heavy as I thought it'd be. But we'll see. This other Camel ADV seems quite light, so we'll save a few pounds there anyway. Or maybe I'll just hit the gym a little bit more and save a few there. So there's actually been a bit of a change with the 2025. I'm just reading the instruction manual here. So they used to have a bit of a template that you'd be able to cut these up to the correct length, but now they've got a fancy handy dandy sheet outlining the measurements. So we're going to have to take the top of the seat cover off, or the seat off, and we're going to have to measure down from the frame. This rear tube needs to be cut to 3 7/8 of an inch down, and the front needs to be cut to 2 7/8 of an inch down. So once we cut those down, I'm going to use these cable ties here to measure, and then I'll tighten the cable ties up, and what this will do is it will provide a nice flat surface, or a line for me to cut across with the angle grinder. So I'm hoping that'll work well. A little bit of a change for the 2025, but it shouldn't be too bad, so we'll see how it goes here. Always had a bit of a hard time taking the seat off of this T7. I feel like I'm always being a bit too rough with it, but just got to give it a good yank. It comes right off. So now that we've got that top bolt out, it looks like we need a star or Torx bit to take this this little bit of, I guess it's a spacer for a rear rack if you want one in the future, but we got to take that torque spit out, take that rear rack spacer out or mounting point, then we'll take this off. So just to recap, there was a small screw in the top of the fairing there, and then a little push connection or a little clip at the bottom that you could just push in with the screwdriver to release, and then just that final rear rack mounting bolt with the torque spit on the side. As you can see, it just pops right off. Right here, we've got where we're measuring from, right where my finger is, the bottom of the subframe, that metal plate. We're measuring down on the rods there for the exhaust hanger to get our accurate measurements. And now the scary bit, cutting into your brand new bike. Make sure you measure twice with this one and cut a little bit longer if you need to, just in case. Well, after losing all of our light for the evening, we set up a light and kept going on the project. So here we are, we've cut our exhaust bracket to the correct length, and we're going to be test fitting the bracket supplied by Camel ADV. Now this is the new bracket we're going to need to be able to mount the exhaust up higher. So here we're just test fitting it, making sure it's all working. We're going to tighten up the bolts in the back just so we can grab onto those rods there, and we're just going to make sure everything is nice and snug and where it's supposed to be. There's a couple of bolts to tighten down at the back. Again, we're just making these a bit finger tight, so we're not tightening everything down just yet. We're just going to give it a nice dry run, see if everything fits up like it should. So we're just nipping these up quickly, and then here you can see we're installing the two little Allen bolts to be able to grab onto the pipe so that the position of the hanger doesn't move. Hopefully you guys are getting a good idea of what we're doing here. I'm sorry that we ran out of daylight, but hopefully you can see what we needed to do to fit this on the 2025 Tenere. So in the bag of goodies, Camel has supplied a brand new exhaust gasket. So we're just going to slide that into the end of the high bend exhaust portion. And we're just going to tighten this up finger tight. We don't need this too tight. We need to be able to move it around and be able to test fit it. So we're just going to leave this a little bit loose so we got that extra movement. So this grommet is one of the only pieces that you're going to need to reuse off of your old stock exhaust system. So it's probably easier to pull this off of the exhaust hanger whilst it's still on the bike before you go ahead and cut it off. It was a bit of a pain to pull out, but we ended up getting it on there anyway, no issues. And here, nice and simple, just putting the rest of the muffler together. We're going to go ahead and bolt this to that new shiny new exhaust hanger and then give it a test fit to the tailpipe that's running up from the bottom of the bike. Alright, now the exciting bit of every exhaust install video. We get to hear what it sounds like. Now I've been riding it around for the past week or so, past couple of weeks, and this thing sounds great. But I got a few clips, we'll show you those now with the baffle in and out, because I know there's not many online, but this should give you a good idea of what it sounds like stock, with the DB killer in and with the DB killer out. Now my personal preference, I keep the DB killer in. As you'll see, it's quite loud without it, but it completely transforms the sound of this bike and really makes it just sound like it's supposed to. The stock exhaust wasn't bad, but this is a treat. I'll show you the clips now. And just like that, it's all done. All right, now this thing sounds awesome. I'm so happy with how it turned out. So yeah, that's a Camel ADV exhaust, the high mount exhaust installed on the 2025 Tenere 700. I really appreciate you guys watching this video. I know it got a little bit dark there and I had to do a bunch of voiceovers, but I tried to get as good as an explanation as I could on installing this. Overall fitment and install was super, super easy. And I just love the sound of the bike. It completely changes the overall sound and the look of the motorcycle. So I'm very, very happy with it so far. Let me know what you guys think, if you're a baffle in kind of guy or a baffle out kind of guy. For me personally, I'm going to be keeping the baffle in. I do a lot of commuting on this thing and I don't really want to go deaf just yet, but it does sound amazing with the baffle out. But it is very loud. So if that's your kind of thing, by all means, this is a perfect exhaust for you. But if you want something that's a little bit louder than stock, but has a completely different sound, as you just heard right there, if you put the baffle in, it sounds just as good as well. So if you guys want to follow along, remember we're building this bike up for the ultimate ride, which is the Continental Divide Ride from Banff to New Mexico. Also exploring some of the outdoors of Vancouver Island's back road. But yeah, if you want to follow along the venture, please make sure you subscribe and hit like. It really helps out a lot. And I really appreciate everyone who's watched this far through the video. As always, have a great day, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.